Hey everyone, welcome to day 8 of our 30 days toward creating a family ministry plan for your church. My name's Tommy and we're with Ron Hunter, the author of the DNA of D6. And so I'd like to share a little bit about what others are saying about the book. Dr. Walt Mueller, Center for Parent and Youth Understanding, says Ron Hunter offers us wisdom and advice which youth workers and the entire church staff should read, consider, and enlist. And so, Ron, just to kick us off on day 8, I would love to ask you, how are biblical worldviews supposed to be established within the family ministry?
When we think about how do we create a biblical worldview, we go back to the last coaching session and we have the option of launching our kids like skipping stones that start out great and then sink, or as battleships who are prepared to defend their faith. Well, how is it we can launch a battleship? Well, there's a natural sequence most scholars, most people would agree on, and it starts with a foundation of creating theology that's sound. So we want to create a sound foundational theology. Then it's followed by a worldview, followed by philosophy, our choice of ethics, how do we deal with the situation, and that will determine what our actions are. But it's all rooted or founded in theology. Maybe you're saying, what if somebody doesn't believe in God? Well, whether you're a naturalist, an atheist, a deist, or a Christian, a Christ follower, it still is theology, our view of God, or absence of God, or lack of a God. And that will be the foundation upon which everything else is built. So if mom and dad are involved in championing a theology, a real, true serving God, modeling it in front of their kids, they see it and they catch it just like they catch cheering for that ball team, just like they catch the other areas. And then that is built on worldview. And our worldview is a mass intake of all this new knowledge against all that we've already agreed upon. We see red. We know that's red based on we've already codified or agreed upon that it's really red. So when we see something that's another color and somebody says different, no, not based on everything I already know. Our theology, our worldview, all that we've already adopted, then our philosophy and our actions. What happens in culture today is we invert that, and we use our actions, and we justify it with our ethics. And then we justify it with our worldview, and sometimes theology goes out the door. And in our culture today, we've got to keep theology. We've got to create that foundation as the primary rooting of where our kids and our parents go, and the church can make a difference in that by helping the parents do it.
Wow, Ron, I mean, this is really hard for anybody to grasp. I mean, for parents, for ministers. And so what the word create and related to theology, like how are we practically supposed to apply that as leaders today?
Yeah, I think the key is we want to create a starting point of theology. We don't want to create a starting point of justifying our actions. And so I would suggest as church leaders that you identify how many of your parents justify actions and philosophies versus how many go to the scripture and say, this is what I should make my decisions based on, and how do they model it to their kids? Because they're catching it from moms and dads with the wrong starting point.
Right. And so as you assess where your parents and where your families are at in your church, you'll be able to understand where their starting point is and how we in turn can help them develop the right theology and the right foundation. So make sure that you go to d6family.com/DNA so that you can subscribe to all of these coaching sessions. They're so helpful, not just for you as church leaders, but for you as human beings, for you as family members. And so make sure that you check all these out. You can get them directly to your inbox. And you can also purchase the DNA of D6 right there on that website. Thank you so much for spending time with us today, and we really look forward to hanging out with you again tomorrow.